I had a good childhood. I had a mother who was there and a father who was there. I always wanted to grow up faster than I should, like than I needed to. I wanted to be older than I was. My dad was the type that he kind of told me at like 7 years old that you got to get a job and save money if you want to get things that you want. That made me, you know, just have that mentality of I gotta go get it. I started smoking weed, and I loved weed, and everyone around me that I knew always kept complaining about they would get robbed, picking up. They were young, so they didn't know what they were doing, and I was just like, this is crazy. Like, why do people just want to rob you for such small amounts of money? I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make things easier for people. I'm just gonna get it, and I'm gonna start selling to people, and it worked. I was treating it like a real business. I was working with, a group of Vietnamese growers in Atlanta. I had been, at the time, I'd already started flying to California and back multiple times a month. The day that the earth shook for me was I woke up one morning and I had a house in Athens at the time. Got up, went to go to the bathroom, looked at my phone, and just on the news feed, there was a title that said 18 grow houses bust at 6 in the morning. And it was a bunch of faces, and they were all Vietnamese. The first face was the guy that I was like closest with. And so when this went out, I freaked out. I was like, okay, now I'm waiting. Now I'm waiting. You know what I mean? Like, I'm waiting for them to come and get me. So I got really, really paranoid. I started dabbling with harder drugs that I kind of had already made little deals with, methamphetamine. And I started just staying up all night, refusing to come to bed. Like, that was all my girlfriend wanted for me, just to come to bed, go to sleep, wake up. So once I started using more and more, I just kept neglecting our relationship, and it tore us apart. In the end, I think that I'm the one that kind of like sealed the nail in the coffin, but it was her and her mom that made the decision to just kind of pull away from me, and that broke my heart. It shattered me into a million pieces. So my second arrest, so this was kind of early on in my mess. I was brought to Cobb County. My parents told me that they wanted me to go to a better way. My mom and my dad both live in Peachtree City, and I didn't know anything about a better way at the time, but apparently they had been doing their research. And my lawyer was a public defender at the time. He also was the one that brought it up to them from all the way in Cobb County. He knew about it, and he offered it to me. And when they read me the rules, I said absolutely not. At the time, I'd only had been in 2 arrests. None of my court cases had actually moved forward. So, and I was like 23 or 24, and so I had no real idea of what consequences were. And I still thought that I could control everything and I could get away with it. The time where I actually decided to go, I got arrested about 4 more times. It was wild. Like, pat, 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 pat. It just kept happening. Every 6 months I was arrested. I'd spend 6 months in jail, or 4 to 6 months, get out for a month or two, get right back arrested. My same lawyer that was appointed to me 3 years earlier that I said no to came up on the screen like a week after I had a meeting with him, and he was like, "So, you ready for a better way?" And I was like, "Sure, absolutely, let's do it." I didn't think it was going to work out. Absolutely not. But somehow he was able to make things move really quick, because Cobb County's slow, and he was able to get me into court, signed a deal, took care of like my old case and that case, and had me mandated to a better way. It was a constant no, 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 and then changed judge one more time. I had an awesome public defender, and he was like, "Well, I know this one judge that's really about recovery." And she said, "Sir, why should I let you out, really?" I was like, "Look, I'm fully aware of everything that is against me right now, and I am not trying to avoid, paying the price for it, but I need help, and if you give me this chance, I know you're not gonna, I swear you're not gonna regret it." And she agreed with the ankle monitor, so she gave me a bond. First day that I came in, everything looks awesome. It's really, really cool. The property's beautiful, the houses are awesome. And plus, when you're coming from Shackles, and Rice Street in Fulton County, you're like, this is awesome. But I remember walking down to the basement, and Billy Johnson, the intake coordinator, met me there, got me out of the handcuffs, and then my mom showed up, who I hadn't seen in probably over a year face to face at least, and she just started crying. My process at A Better Way went in stages. I wanted to leave for the first 4 months, solid. Every single day I'm thinking about it, and I'm constantly like how I work is I know it can be done, and I'm pretty sure there's a way that I can do it without going to jail, but it's just a lot of hurdles. And so every day I'm thinking about it. Even when I start being able to make phone calls, I call my mom, I'm explaining to her, hey, this is a good place, but it's probably not, something that is going to work for me. When my mom first came to see me on family day, I doing the same thing, like, hey, this isn't it. I started telling her all the really weird things about the place, all the crazy rules. Like I knew exactly how to push what buttons. And it got her to where she started thinking about it too. She told me this after the fact, that she went home, she started looking into those places. During those 4 months, the whole time I'm watching guys who are farther than me, see their families and see how they tell me their stories, how they've changed. And I start kind of like buying into it, I'm like, hey, well, this is, I see the difference, like they're telling me everything's starting to fall in line. Meanwhile, I'm getting more into the praise and worship music. I'm enjoying, starting to enjoy the process. Still hate getting up so early, but, learning to really be thankful for the little things, like the fact that they'd send us on these random jobs that were, Douglasville or Jonesboro and stuff like that. Like I'm out doing something when, 3 months, 4 months earlier, I was locked up. So I'm just thinking, okay, this is a lot harder than jail, but it's so much better. So I just start weighing the odds. And so past that 4 months, it goes from me just wanting to leave to me wanting to be there for my family, because I could see how my mom had so much peace for the first time in years. I started to be there for me. And at about 12 months, it took a long time for all these phases. At about 12 months, I was there for good. I knew that if they had dropped all my charges and cut this ankle monitor off, then I would still stay. I started to really, really see and believe in the goodness of God and just this place. The brotherhood here is something that I had never experienced anywhere else. I'd always wanted to go into the military, but I had a back injury, and so I couldn't. In my mind, this is the closest thing to that. From all my friends that I know that are in the military, like this is the closest thing that you can get to having that type of a bond with these guys, because you all go through something. Plus, you all share a past. Whatever your drug of choice was, whatever your crime of choice was, it didn't really matter. It's still you share that side of the world. Like we've been on that side, and it creates a level of camaraderie that I'd never experienced. It's just crazy now, because like I really feel like I have a support system. And I know I've always had my family that would have supported me, but just my personality back then, I just wanted to push them away. I wanted to be independent, and I didn't want them involved with any of it. The Florida trip was very fun. I was tasked with basically capturing it all. I got to do that twice, that was cool. But my first Florida trip was very special. It was with all the guys that I pretty much came in with, all my Grace House guys, my intake brothers. I never experienced the beach or the ocean in like that type of a light where I was with a bunch of dudes, and then sober, not smoking weed, not doing anything. And I did enjoy myself. But it really was a special moment, because in my mind it was a chapter. Like it was basically if my life was a book, it was me finally turning the page. When I got baptized by Brother John, I took it very seriously, and I could feel the difference afterwards. It was me saying that I don't have to be ashamed of my past anymore. Getting up early, 4:45, and reading the Bible, I was not into it at first at all, but it as the months went on and I started to be able to handle getting up so early, and I actually started to retain what I was reading, it would stick with me throughout the day. I find it's extremely important to do that, and I still try my best to get up every morning and read some sort of devotion. It's usually on my phone now, but I read something. So it's just something like a little nugget to stay with you throughout the day. And crazy enough, it seems like if you do that, there's always something that comes up during that day that's relevant to what you read. And so I can honestly say that, before I came to A Better Way, I didn't really have much of an ongoing relationship with God, but it's real now, and I know that He's there, and no one can tell me He's not, just because when I look back, I can see so much evidence where God's hand was on my life.